Bro, I think he's dead. Bro, you can stop now. Bro, it's okay. Bro. Bro! Skyrim's modders work tirelessly to keep this game alive and give us the best possible gaming experience, even if it is a multiplayer experience. There have been attempts to do this in the past, but just how good is the newest co-op mod, Skyrim Together Reborn, and just how good is the experience it delivers? Well, it works. I'm gonna say this from the start. It actually works better than I expected. It is still a bit messy and glitchy at times, but it works. The most important thing you need to know, however, is that it only runs on the Anniversary Edition. I'm saying it like this because the description on the mod page is very misleading. I don't know if a monkey wrote this or if they did it on purpose to confuse the heck out of people, but looking at the last sentence here, it is a total contradiction. We only support the latest patches of the Special Edition and the Anniversary Edition, but then it also says any version above 1.6. The Special Edition ended with version 1.5.97, so obviously you cannot use this. In other words, don't look at this, Hector, look at this, Hector. I mean, I understand what they were trying to say here. They probably meant it will work with either an updated Special Edition with the free Anniversary update, or if you actually bought the whole Anniversary update package. It's just a poor choice of words they used here. And to make things even more confusing, once you get to the files, it actually says you need the latest version of Skyrim, which is a contradiction again. To make this straight, the latest version right now would be 1.6.659, and you don't really need that. You only need to be on 1.6 point something. I've tested it, for example, with 1.6.640, and it worked fine. But honestly, I do not understand why they decided to make this mod only playable on the Anniversary Edition, because some modders of important mods are either retired or dead or whatever. For example, the very important mod Dynamic Animation Replacer is not supported on 1.6.640, so I would actually need to downgrade a bit. Seriously, I don't know if anybody actually seriously mods on the Anniversary Edition, because it appears to be just as fun as a game of Russian roulette. Right now I actually have 3 Skyrim installations: Legendary Edition, Special Edition and the Anniversary Edition. The message from SKSE is also bugged, by the way, because I am on 1.6.640 as already mentioned, and not on 1.6.629. But all that aside, the installation itself is actually very simple. You just download this normally with your mod manager and that's pretty much it. The only other requirement is the address library for SKSE plugins, which you will probably have installed anyway. After that, go to your Skyrim folder and navigate to Data, Skyrim Together Reborn, and execute the Skyrim Together executable. It will ask you for the Skyrim SE exe. And now listen carefully, you really need to select the Skyrim SE exe and not the exe from the Skyrim script extender, because if you do that you will get this error message here. However, if you made this mistake you can actually easily correct it. Just hold down the spacebar while executing the Skyrim Together exe and you will be able to choose again. And don't worry, when you start the game through this Skyrim Together executable, it will actually run the game through the Skyrim script extender, because it is needed for the Skyrim Together itself to work properly. So your SKSE dependent mod will work without problems. The other executable, by the way, Skyrim Together server, is in case you want to host your own server on your PC. That way you can tweak it by enabling PvP, for example, or changing the loot settings. However, to make a functional server you will also need to do basic server setup things like forwarding ports, configuring your firewall and so on. But if you don't want to do all that and just want to play, you can of course also do it on one of the official servers. So to do that, just start your game through the Skyrim Together executable. Once you load your game, you can press the right control button to open this menu. This opens the chat window and here you can also connect to servers. As already mentioned, you can just use one of the public servers if you want to get into the game fast. Just make sure you have completed the Helgen tutorial part, or there might be problems. As you can see, there are very many people playing this game, and this was on a Sunday morning, by the way. So yes, another requirement is that you actually have friends to play with. So once you connect, the time of the day will automatically be adjusted to the server time, and then you have just to meet up with people. I found those two guys here who were also trying out multiplayer, and let me tell you, it is actually quite a nice feeling to see somebody really alive looking in your game for once, and to just stand there and chat with people for a bit. But you are probably wondering about the most important thing: how exactly are mods being handled? Well, technically it does not matter who has which mods installed, you should still be able to play together. Visual mods, for example, do not matter at all, because the visuals are not server-side. In other words, every player will continue to see their own game. If I had tropical Skyrim, for example, only I would be able to see the tropical stuff. As for weapons and armors, if you don't have the same mods as one of the players has equips from, well, then this player will just look naked to you. I, for example, used one of the armors from the anniversary update, but apparently those two guys just had the free version, so they told me my character was naked. As for mods that add new locations and dungeons and such, obviously all the players will have to have the same stuff to be able to do it together. If one of the players does not have a mod that adds the new locations, like a quest mod for example, he will still be able to connect, but obviously not be able to visit those locations with the other players. Also, one interesting thing worth mentioning: one of those two players I teamed up with had an existing character, and the other one just finished the tutorial. So since he was only level 1 at that time, he used console commands to level up fast and get some good equipment. So the console commands work perfectly fine in multiplayer. Anyway, once you meet up with the people, there is also a fairly cool party system. This, together with the chat function, actually does a really good job at giving you the feeling of playing an actual multiplayer game. There are a couple of inconveniences with the party function though. It does not tell you if other players are already in a party or not, so you have to communicate, because it is not recommended to have more than one party on a server. That is because the party leader kinda becomes the host and will be the only one who can talk to quest NPCs and loot quest items. Also, unfortunately, there is no way to tell where your party members are actually at. You can only see the general location in the player manager. If you are on the world map or in a huge dungeon, it can be kinda easy to get separated. However, you can use a mod to put quest markers on NPCs. I tried it with the mod Tag and Drag and was able to mark other players with it. That way you can always see them on the map. Because seriously, if you should go questing in a snowstorm, it can become really hard to see what's going on. Since you don't see names above players, it can be even hard to tell friend from foe sometimes, so having quest markers above other players' heads is very useful. Another interesting aspect is that objects like doors and levers are also not server-side and are bound to the individual games. For example, as we got to the Dragon Claw door, it was open for me and the orc guy, since we already completed this dungeon, but since the other dude was there for the first time, he had to still open it. It gets even funnier with the gates connected to levers. Here, for example, the gate was open in my game, but the lever still operates all the gates for all players, so while this other player opens the gate in his game, he also unintentionally closes it for me. That way it is kinda possible to unintentionally sabotage each other. The treasure chests, however, seem to work just fine. If a player loots a chest, it will be empty for the others. The whole combat thing seems to work fine for the most part. Sure, sometimes the enemies will do very weird looking things as they die. Sometimes they seem to not be entirely sure if they are dead or not. I mean, things like skating or sliding over the floors, enemies and in general NPCs are really not a rare sight here. It just happens, part of the deal. Sometimes the enemies even appear to just stand there and do nothing. Maybe it's a sort of lag or something, I don't know. As I said, it's not a perfect experience. What I also noticed is that the physics can start to go crazy from time to time. Not just the dead bodies doing breakdance, but rather the whole room develops its own gravitational pull or something like that. It's kinda creepy actually, like in a horror game. But despite all the bugs, it's still a very nice experience to actually run around and fight together with people who actually move and behave like real people, rather than just with brain-dead followers. Just the thought of installing a huge badass quest mod and actually experiencing it together with your friends sounds 10 times better than just playing it by yourself. Sure, there might be a couple of bugs here and there, but for the fact that modders turned an absolute single-player game into a fully working multiplayer experience, I think it's quite a milestone. And with that said, thank you all for watching, and see you around.